Operation Upshot-Knothole was a series of 11 atmospheric nuclear weapons tests conducted by the United States Atomic Energy Commission from March 17 to June 20, 1953, at the Nevada Proving Ground. This highly significant research operation aimed to advance weapon development, evaluate tactical combat capabilities, and analyze civilian defense structures. It holds a unique place in military history due to several groundbreaking events, a massive troop presence, and serious long-term radiological consequences. Key milestone tests. Shot Annie, March 17, openly televised to the public. This 16-kiloton blast evaluated nuclear effects on 2 wooden frame houses, automobiles, and residential bomb shelters. Shot Simon, April 25, a 43-kiloton test that unexpectedly formed a highly concentrated radioactive cloud, causing significant nuclear fallout over New York's Capital District after mixing with a heavy thunderstorm. Shot Harry, May 19, nicknamed Dirty Harry. This highly efficient 32-kiloton pure fission test generated severe, unintended radioactive fallout that blanketed St. George, Utah. Shot Grable, May 25, the first and only time a nuclear artillery shell was fired from a 280mm cannon nicknamed Atomic Annie, detonating a 15-kiloton warhead exactly 7 miles away. Shot Annie and Operation Doorstep Damage. Conducted on March 17, 1953, the 16-kiloton Shot Annie blast was paired with Operation Doorstep, a Federal Civil Defense Administration (FCDA) study. It tested how typical American suburban homes, cars, and backyard shelters would withstand a nuclear detonation. House at 3,500 feet, located roughly 1,100 meters from ground zero, this 2-story wooden home was completely destroyed in less than 3 seconds. The blast ripped the building completely off its foundation, turning the upper floors into flying debris. However, the reinforced basement shelter remained intact, proving a basement could save lives. House at 7,500 feet, located roughly 2,300 meters away, this identical house managed to remain standing. It suffered extensive structural damage, including shattered windows, blown-out doors, and heavily fractured plaster walls. Automobiles, 50 cars were placed at varying distances. Cars with open windows performed significantly better because the pressure equalized, preventing the roofs from collapsing inward. Surprisingly, most test cars could still be driven away after the blast. Technical mechanics of the M65 atomic cannon. On May 25, 1953, Shot Grable successfully fired a W-9 nuclear artillery shell from the M65 atomic cannon. This 85-ton, 280mm Colossus relied on a highly sophisticated blend of heavy artillery design and absolute mobility. The dual tractor transport, the M65 operated like an oversized fire engine. It was suspended between 2 custom 375 horsepower Kenworth 4x4 trucks, the M249 at the front and M250 at the rear. Drivers communicated via an integrated phone system, allowing the rig to travel at 35 miles per hour and negotiate tight turns. Hydraulic ground emplacement. To fire, the crew used purely hydraulic jacks and winches to unhook the tractors and lower the massive carriage onto a 9-foot circular base plate. This setup took just 15 minutes and allowed the weapon to achieve a 360-degree traverse by swinging around the central platform. The firing mechanism, the 280mm M66 gun featured a heavy shrunk-on jacket and a secure well-and-breech block to seal the extreme pressure. A hydraulic rammer pushed the 600-pound W-9 nuclear shell into the breech. The shell left the barrel with a muzzle velocity of 2,500 feet per second. Advanced dual recoil system. To stop the 85-ton weapon from flipping or destroying itself, it used a dual hydropneumatic recoil system. One set of buffers absorbed shock between the barrel and the upper carriage, while a second set dissipated energy between the upper and lower carriage structures. During the 16-kiloton Shot Annie detonation in 1953, the Federal Civil Defense Administration, FCDA, staged conservatively dressed, department store mannequins throughout the test houses to simulate a typical American family caught completely unaware. To make the physics simulation accurate, the plaster men, women, and children were weighted internally with sand to precisely match average human body weights. The post-blast injury assessments provided grim, graphic data on what would have happened to human bodies. House 1, 3,500 feet/1,100 meters from blast. This wood frame home collapsed entirely under the blast wave within 2.3 seconds. Living room and upper floors, mannequins placed in the open rooms were evaluated as instant fatalities or critically injured. The dynamic pressure wave and high-velocity debris shattered the plaster figures, ripping limbs off and burying them under heavy beams and collapsing ceilings. Basement simple lean-to shelter, mannequins placed inside a basic wooden lean-to shelter in the basement survived with virtually no structural injuries. Even though the house above collapsed into a mountain of rubble, the triangular design of the lean-to deflected the falling debris, protecting the figures underneath. House 2, 7,500 feet/2,300 meters from blast. This home remained standing but suffered severe structural failure, blowing out windows, fracturing plaster, and launching internal furnishings across rooms. Living room TV family, a group of mannequins was arranged sitting on a couch directly facing a window to simulate a family watching television. The blast wave shattered the glass instantly, firing a high-velocity storm of shards across the room. The post-blast assessment noted that humans in this position would have suffered severe, potentially fatal lacerations, facial blinding, and puncture wounds, alongside trauma from being thrown off the furniture. Basement box-type shelter, mannequins positioned inside a simple reinforced basement box shelter were completely unharmed. The FCDA used this stark contrast to prove that simple backyard or basement shielding meant the difference between life and death. After scientists finished evaluating the blast data and fallout patterns, some of the surviving mannequins were actually taken to downtown Las Vegas. In a strange marketing twist, they were briefly put on display as Cold War window dressings at a JCPenney department store to visually demonstrate the destructive power of the bomb to civilian shoppers. The operational and human impact. Exercise Desert Rock v. Over 21,000 Department of Defense personnel actively participated in tactical maneuvers, observer programs, and trenches situated exceptionally close to the blasts. Thermonuclear evolution. The operation successfully tested radical radiation implosion components critical for the deployable thermonuclear weapons used in subsequent test series like Operation Castle. The atomic veterans. Legacy. Many participating soldiers later suffered severe health complications, including multiple aggressive cancers, triggering decades-long legal battles over service-related radiation exposure.